Powerful Sophia, tender loving seer, so mysterious and full of life. She fights alone, showing no fear. Her good will remain steadfast and right. Powerful Sophia, tender loving seer, so mysterious and full of life. She fights alone, showing no fear. Her good will remain steadfast and right.
Hello. Hi everybody, how are you doing? This is the second part of the series about Yazhi. Yes, this is the second video of the series. And in this video, in the series, we are talking about Sophia Swaruu. Sophia Swaruu. In fact, Yazhi is a nickname, and it means something like a little wing. And this was a nickname that we had for her from the very beginning. In fact, in the beginning we called her Chiqui Swaruu, which in Spanish means like something like a little Swaruu. Okay, so what do we have for you in this video? First, as it was mentioned, as you already know from the last episode, Yazhi wasn't super comfortable on the ship in the beginning, with the crew members not being totally comfortable with her and with with the powers that she was displaying, with the abilities and supposedly strange things happening on the ship. So Yazhi was feeling increasingly uncomfortable, and she felt like, she was disturbing them, and she didn't want to feel that. But at the same time, not wanting to disturb them, she also wanted to be herself and be free and not be restrained, which is completely understandable. So she came up with an idea to go on her little personal retreat somewhere. I'm not gonna say where. Well, actually, I will. I will say it. It was an island here on Earth. Yes. She would just go there. From what I understand, in the beginning it was with her ship, but then she learned the teleporting and she didn't even have to do that. So she used to go there to that island in the middle of the ocean, a very small, uninhabited, tropical island, to just allow herself to be herself, to allow herself to be Yazhi. Sorry, I was with Spanish people just a few days ago, so my chip kind of went into the Spanish language. Okay, so in the beginning of this video, we will be hearing from Aneeka. It's a conversation with Aneeka where she's describing how she's uncomfortable with Yazhi just going and disappearing, because as you will see here, she would sometimes disappear for many days and they wouldn't know where she is. We didn't know where she was. And she was just gone, and they were worried, which is completely understandable. So here Aneeka is showing that worry. Then we're gonna have a short chat with Yazhi shortly after her return from the island. So she will tell us what she was doing there in her own, I think still limited way, because as you will see in the third conversation, and that's going to be a conversation with Kalel, she was actually doing something much more important on that island than just hanging out and resting from the Taygetan crew. So the third conversation is going to be a short excerpt from Kalel. Okay, and then there's going to be a short excerpt from Athena Swaruu, that was from 2021, and she will tell us how she sees this and what the problem is with Yazhi not being understood. And then the fifth conversation is going to be a council where you will see that actually the Taygetans did try their best, especially the women, to try to understand Yazhi and what to do with her, how to approach her, how to educate her, because she was so little. So it's going to be a council between Queen Alenym, shara, Aneeka, about this continuing idea how to educate her, and something else will be discussed as well. the last conversation will be with Raguel, and that's going to be a masculine view of Yazhi and her presence on the ship, and whether men were bothered by her or not. So let's begin. I'm going to appear somewhere within the video. Enjoy! Conversation with Aneeka, originally in Spanish.
Why are you angry with Yazhi?
Because she leaves without telling. Because she's late in coming back. She leaves like a cat on a spree, and who knows if she'll come back or not. She leaves and doesn't take care of herself. She always comes back hurt.
Well, she's not one of you. She is a free being, and she has to be. She will be fine. But I understand how it feels on your side, too.
Yeah, okay. But she doesn't take care of herself. How does she want us to trust her if she comes in hurt all the time? This time, she came back as a cave girl again.
But maybe you have to adjust your idea about her. If you feel bad, it's because of some ideas. It's always about ideas. She's an explorer, free, brave, and without rules. She's like me inside. I can't be confined or set to many rules either.
According to Sinatra, and you can tell, she looks like a child who has been outdoors for 5 days. She didn't eat. She arrives with cracked and broken lips, all pale, and her eyes are stuck together because she didn't even drink water, maybe, and very thin. And last night, she ate more than Raguel.
But she likes it, Aneeka. Me too. I don't like to be a princess all the time. I like to be dirty with mud and even hurt from adventures. You have to let her be. She knows what she's doing and why she's doing it. Trust her. If not, she won't feel good. Confined. She is a wild being. You have to accept it. She will not expand if she is not allowed to be.
Well, we can't help that we're worried about her.
On the other hand, I am down here and I don't see her with cracked lips and pale and thin, so I understand the concern too. It's easy for me not to worry being here.
But she's such a beautiful little girl, like a doll. It's a pity to see her arrive in such a state.
Oh, Aneeka, you're a city girl. One can be beautiful without being so well-groomed. Myself, I wear my hair uncombed every day. It's her nature. Accept it that way. And moreover, celebrate that it is so different and free. Celebrate who she is. It's the best expression of love.
We just don't want her to get hurt, and she's an expert at getting hurt and doesn't seem to care. And I thought Swaruu 9 was extreme about climbing mountains, but this little girl takes the gold in mischief. Let's see if she even brings fleas next time.
Look, talking to Yazhi about that, and about how you think she's not as powerful as she says, she told me the following. I have told them many times that I will be okay, and that I must do whatever I must do, and that is outside their world and their perception of time and space. I don't claim to be powerful or not, I just do whatever I can do, and I explore how to do more, in what I know is a never-ending process. But I must do what I can because that is who I am.
It sounds great, Gosha, and we understand that. But from here, I and the others only see a little girl with a lot of imagination and a taste for the extreme, and who does strange things which I'm not even mentioning. Last night, she was scolded twice.
They are not strange things, no more than yours are for us.
What did she do yesterday?
While she was being scolded, she was talking to Raguel simultaneously, in different rooms, with her attention elsewhere while we were talking to a hologram or whatever. And we still don't understand how she did that. It's just what we need, now she splits. We think it's pure mind control, strong telepathy.
Well, let's learn then. Isn't it fascinating? Just as you are teaching humans things that sound impossible to them, and humans are learning, now you are learning.
Yes, she's fascinating. But in the process, we're all gonna end up in the madhouse.
No, because we should end up there first, and we are not. You are also feeding us incredible things and facts and information. Why can't we take it and you all can't? Nothing wrong about being from the city, clean and all that. It's just that if you accept her as she is, and that there are still things to learn about the mind, about reality, this will all become more manageable. Let things be the way they are, and that reality is not closed in any way. That's what we teach humans as well. If you change the focus here, maybe you will feel better. And the focus is that there is so much to learn about the mind still, and that you have someone on board who can explain it and teach it. It is an honor. As for humans and even us here on Earth, to have you and all of you to teach us. No panic. Open your mind and enjoy the unknown. Conversation with Yazhi. Hey, where were you?
I needed to be alone and think.
Where did you go?
My island.
Oh, but why didn't you return on the same day? You had everyone up there worried. Not me, by the way. I trust you always.
Thanks. I needed some more time. I was not time jumping. I was in the same linear time as you and them.
Oh, I see. But why didn't you tell them you were okay at least? Aneeka is annoyed.
If I said what I was doing, they wouldn't let me do it.
What were you doing?
Meditating. I didn't know I was going to take 5 days to meditate.
You meditated 5 days straight? Did you eat?
No. But time is funny.
Well, tell more. How do you feel? What was your experience? I am sure they are relieved.
I was born free. I will always be free. And I needed to comprehend things, what is going on, and also grow myself. I know people are starting to see me as a show-off or as over-exaggerated. I told the others here that if I show them what I can do, then I am a show-off, and if I don't, I am a liar. So there is no pleasing them. I am trying to leak what I can do slowly, because I see they don't take it well. It is not so much like they cannot handle this, but what it means to them when confronted with certain subjects.
I told Aneeka that they should accept you, wild as you are, and she said, "Oh, but she is so pretty when cleaned up."
I may be pretty, but I am feral. I am not a kitten inside a fancy household. I am an alley cat. And I can't help being mischievous, because it's not mischief for me. It's their need to control and to educate a little girl as how they see one should be. For me, it is simply freedom. But they don't like me climbing up a simple tree. They make it a big deal. But as Swaruu, the fully grown, they say it's her responsibility. So they let her climb whatever she wants. See the difference? I am not doing wrong things. They are only wrong in their minds. I need to go climb a rock, wrestle with a snake, jump a ring of fire. You know me. The Taygetans are very calm.
You said you wanted them to take care of you.
Yes, but I also said they had to find a new way to treat someone like me. Not treat me as a silly, sissy, fragile girl, because I am not that. Not as an adult and not as a kid. Something new. It was their task to seek and solve their riddle so they can grow.
Aneeka said she was angry at you. She said you look like a cave person again.
Why, oh why, must I conform to norms?
Not in my world. I told her not to worry and that you were okay. But they did worry. And Aneeka said you are not all-powerful as you claim and that you can hurt yourself.
I have told them many times that I will be okay and that I must do whatever I must do, and that is outside their world and their perception of time and space.
I know. They don't always understand, but they do care, and that's why they worry.
I don't claim to be powerful. I just do whatever I can do, and I explore how to do more. But I must do what I can, because that is who I am.
Yes. So, what new did you learn?
I do have the power to come back on the same day when I am aware I am using it. But this time, I just meditated and that's all. I lost track of time. It was not on purpose, and I was not time traveling. I just adjusted density a bit in order not to be bothered. I still haven't tested what I have learned.
Aneeka said she did look at your island and there were no feet marks, so she concluded you were not there.
I was not in her density. As I said, I can alter mine. And I did that, not to be disturbed. I can go into some kind of personal stealth mode.
I need you to understand something very important here. Yazhi, she moves by other rules. She is of another density. She is more expanded, more etheric. We use doors. She does not. We are like you, physical. Yazhi, she's just the way she wants to be. I don't even know how to explain it. She's visible in types or whatever. For all of us, not for her.
And yet, we are all ultimately like that. What every soul can do, but if they are not told by someone, they cannot remember it. We pass with Dor Khalil now.
Thank you. We know more about Yazhi now. Things you must understand and know. We have been doing research here. I will say it straight out. Yazhi is not sunning herself on that island doing nothing. She is doing something extremely important, but difficult to see. That island is geometrically the opposite point on the globe of Giza, Egypt, specifically the Great Pyramid of Cheops. It should be taken into account that the Earth is not a perfect sphere, but a geode. The island is a volcanic island named Maria. The fact that this island is called Maria and is in the antipode of the Earth to the Great Pyramid is not a coincidence. Every starseed is an antenna for high densities. Every starseed on Earth, just by existing, brings high-density frequencies to Earth, transforming it, raising its frequency. Yazhi is there as a super starseed, so to speak. She is on Earth to help transform it, to raise its frequency. That's why she spends her time down there, in a cave girl state, as she says. She spends her time in the water, in the central lagoon of the island. She is making Earth so as not to melt her body. The starseeds are also told to ground themselves by walking barefoot. Yazhi is scalar. She is several densities in one. She brings them all to Earth. From the island, it passes through the magma along the ley lines to Giza. Energetically, that island is connected to Giza, it's practically in Giza. From there, the pyramid transmits to the other pyramids in the world, as a scalar energy network using ley lines. To the pyramids in Mexico, in China, in Bosnia, in Crimea, in Alaska, in Peru, in the Bahamas, in Vietnam, and in Antarctica. She is raising the frequency of the Earth directly, using herself as a channel. That's what she's doing there. That's why she goes there. It's her job. Everything has been planned by her from the beginning.
Incredible, right? Incredible. Now, I don't know much more about that island that Yazhi used to go, but I know that she doesn't go there anymore. In fact, I think it will be, yes, mentioned in the next video, because the next video is going to be an update about all these different points that were mentioned throughout these first two videos. So I'm going to ask, how is your island? Do you still go there? And she doesn't go there anymore. It's going to be explained why. But I do remember that a few years ago she also stopped going there because apparently, now I don't remember exactly, but there was some kind of a submarine circling the island. And she saw it and it was like getting closer and closer. So she thought it was getting a bit unsafe for her. So she returned to Toleka at that time. And also in 2021, I think it was, or yeah, it's when Athena Swaruu arrived. And when Athena Swaruu first arrived, she was actually hanging out with Yazhi there on that island without the Toleka crew members knowing about it yet. And I remember Aneeka was coming to us and telling us, it's like we can actually see, we can capture a signal of two people on the island, and one of them is adult. And I don't know what she's doing. Is she splitting herself? Is she making herself Yazhi double, and one of them is more adult? But we don't know what's happening. Like they couldn't figure it out because Yazhi and Athena were kind of in a stealth mode in a way. But it was actually Athena already on that island, from what I remember. Sorry guys from Sadik Leia, if I'm making any mistakes here. I do not have the access to the conversation now. It's somewhere buried among many conversations, because if I wanted to extend this series, I could extend this really well, because there are just so many conversations. But I do remember that. So that's that about the island. And now Athena Swaruu, when she arrived, she was very much trying to help Yazhi, accommodate. In fact, Yazhi was very happy when Athena was there, because it was like the kind of extension, in a way, substitute of her mom and older sister, Swaruu line. So she felt very understood. So Athena here more or less is trying to explain what she sees the problem is. Enjoy.
Conversation with Athena, 2021. The first problem here is the lack of Taygetan understanding of the girl's true capabilities. They see her only as a naughty girl in extremis. She is, but she also has very strong capabilities. And they deny the obvious in favor of explanations that Mari and I see as matrix. Very Taygetan matrix-like explanations. Yazhi grabs at being a little girl to alleviate what generates that mind that doesn't correspond to what would define a girl. But being direct here, Yaz is a form or a body to represent something that has no body, an attempt, something that does not find form in a body because it doesn't identify with any. That is why she uses one of the girl, because there she can live in her innocence and in her imagination without feet on earth, the expression. No matter who it hurts, Yaz is not entirely physical. That's what they don't see. She is just a form for something that has no form, like the monolith. I will say it openly, because you have said it in your own words, Gosha. She is a creature of higher densities, who only uses that girl avatar body as a way for those in more limited densities in perception, notice I didn't say lower, to refer to that someone as she, as someone in particular. And yes, you can poke her tummy and she giggles, and it doesn't take away from the other. It's hard for you to see her as a child because you are not seeing her. Whereas for Taygetans, it's hard for them not to just see her as a little girl, because that's what is in front of them, a little girl.
So that was Athena Swaruu and few words from her. And now it's going to be a longer conversation, and it's going to be a council between Queen Alenym, shara, Aneeka, and us, Robert and I, continuing to talk about Yazhi. And this time they're going to tell us something interesting. And they're going to explain to us how Yazhi actually lives what she talks about. And that's why it was very important for us not to touch certain subjects because of how she lives them when she talks about them or when she looks at them. But I'm not going to say more. Enjoy the conversation.
As you have noticed for some time, if not all along, Yazhi is like, she comes around, stays for a while, and then withdraws. Sometimes at any seemingly unimportant situation, for no apparent reason. That's how she behaves with us too. And, contrary to what it would seem, the girl doesn't tell us everything. But in the past 3 days, using over-elaborate tricks, she has indirectly let us know what is wrong with her. I know she should have told us directly, but she didn't. She didn't tell us anything. We just found out, and it explains everything.
She has the idea that talking about herself like that could make her feel or be seen as self-centered.
That's right, and it shouldn't have to be that way, but it's her idea.
And that speaks more about us than about herself. Among sensible, intelligent people, we should all be able to talk openly.
So, the important point is that when she talks about whatever the subject is, she doesn't just give the information, she lives it. She doesn't just know all the information, but the information passes through her. So, if she is asked about medieval tortures, she knows and understands them to the degree that she knows because she lives it at that moment. All the energies, the emotions. She feels it all, she drinks it all, she makes it her own.
Yazhi doesn't open books in her mind, so to speak, to get the information, no. It comes to her as downloads, and she lives it.
And it ends up overloading the creature because, in the end, she's just a little girl.
Now imagine all that in the mind of a little girl because she is a little girl. It's something we all need to understand.
As I understand it, she can't even see a scene, let's say in a movie, without living it. Not like the rest of us who imagine it and that's enough, and sometimes it disturbs us. For her, she lives it in the moment in her own flesh. And we know now that she tries to control that, but it ends up draining her enormously. We didn't know to what degree the child was living things. And we think it's vitally important that you know this. On how to deal with it, there are no formulas. We just have to all keep this in mind.
From now on, we have to protect her and see her as she is, a little girl. That's why she resorts to games. Being a child removes her from everything that stresses and drains her. And as a mechanism to protect herself, she retreats into her games and into being a little girl. Any comments? What can we do?
Be very careful with what we say and ask.
No, I have no comment, Alenym. Thank you. I appreciate additional explanation of what Yazhi is like from your perspective. And yes, I perceive her that way too. everything you have commented on.
This also makes us wonder what else the girl is not telling us and we should know.
Remember that the unconscious is there, far away for most, not for Yazhi. As you can see, there is much more behind her.
This is important. Because she reads us like open books, all of us, she reads our unconscious. And I understand the implications. And what alarms me a little bit is that none of us can know what may trigger something in her. Because for the rest of us that something might be inconsequential. In the end, she's a little girl and that's the way we have to treat her. It's hard, but that's the way it has to be. Difficult for you and for us here, because at first glance she looks like a little adult because of the way she talks. But in spite of everything she knows, however she knows it, so to speak, she has yet to mature. Yes, she has little girl reactions, as you would expect.
I asked her several times why she is not able to break away from the Swaruu line and be someone else, to rest from all the memories she carries. She says she can't, that even when she incarnates from one Swaruu to another, she doesn't really die. She never goes to the afterlife.
Yes, this is important for others to know. Thank you for sharing it, Gosha. Another thing she has told us is that when she sleeps she doesn't lose any sense of who she is and where she is. She just leaves her body in her little bed and her mind goes to explore astral places but as a lucid dream.
Exactly, she never rests.
That seems to me very tiring.
It is. You don't really die, you just jump, you carry memories, traumas, feelings, and moreover, you don't really sleep, disconnecting from everything. It's not a surprise that she escapes to the world of toys, to something simple.
Of course, Gosha. In fact, children are known to go into some kind of trance when they play.
She says that when she is no longer incarnated, she will never return and will exist from other planes only in the form of inspiration, so we can perceive her this way.
That was that, and that was very important. That's why it's actually still important not to touch certain subjects because of how Yazhi lives them when she talks about them. Okay, let's go to the last conversation of this video, and it's a conversation with Raguel. And Raguel is telling us how he feels about Yazhi, whether it was a problem for him or it wasn't the way Yazhi was. You might be surprised, maybe you will be not. Enjoy the conversation.
Conversation with Raguel.
I cannot understand why so much of a fuss about what the little one was doing. I found it hilarious. Even more the reactions of the women, trying their best to control something clearly out of their hands, league impossibilities to even understand. Yazhi is not one of them. They should have only accepted her. That was their mistake. To try to control the uncontrollable. How can you fight the sea? How can you crumble a mountain with a spoon? They missed the experience of learning from such an interesting creature, so small and so vastly more powerful than them all. It is said here that their maternal instinct worked against the women, their need to protect and to educate a young one, failing to recognize that the reverse was going on. As for me, I can't explain some things, so I just let it be. There is a lot more in Yazhi than what we can even begin to understand. Of that I am sure.
That's a good attitude. Can't explain, so you let it be. That's how I had to deal with a lot of things I'm learning from you as well. Doing my best to understand, but then, at some point, just let it be.
I don't think we can even grasp it all. She does things beyond science and its comprehension.
Things beyond your current understanding of science, but it's still science.
Yes, precisely. I was walking down the corridor, and in a blink of an eye, a castle made of cards appeared in front of me. It would have taken hours for anyone to have made it. I got distracted for just a second, and it was there. It is this kind of things that ended up alarming the women.
Ha, cool. And what did you do?
I know it was Yazhi, testing out my reactions. I got startled, but I found it funny as hell.
Right. And then what happened? It disappeared again?
No, I left it there for others to see. Eventually, I think Layla picked the cards up.
And the others? How were they reacting? Yes, he said they were avoiding her.
They were alarmed. The women, that is.
So all women were alarmed and men not?
I didn't see any man get alarmed, no. The women, on the other hand, were very worried. I know it has a lot to do with their need to be in control of all situations, and to educate the young one, perhaps preventing her from getting hurt. Here it was predictable and boring, until Yazhi came. A lot of fun was lost without her. Everything is back to predictable and normal here again.
Aw, is she missed?
Yes, she is. The women didn't notice how much they needed her until she was gone. The men always liked her, no problems with them. I don't know of any man who was being bothered by Yazhi and her strange things.
Aneeka was overstressing here, from my perspective. For example, about Yazhi talking to the tree. And she was telling me, but Gosha, the tree talks back to her. And me, so?
Come on. Even I know it is a telepathic frequency thing. And I'm just a grunt.
That was it for this video. Thank you very much, guys, for sticking around. It was quite uncomfortable for me to find good positions to to show my socks, that I'm wearing socks. Solidarity with Yazhi, because she actually loves wearing socks. It will be understood more in the future videos why she's wearing socks and not the shoes. Actually, something that drives Taygetan crazy on the ship, because she's always getting hurt. But she loves wearing socks. In fact, let me tell you that when we finish the conversations, this is like her signature ending emoticon. She puts the socks, and I put the socks as well, and this is like the ending of the conversation. So thank you very much for sticking around. There's going to be more in the next video. It's going to be actually conversations with Yazhi just from a few months ago, where I actually wanted to update the situation, when I wanted to update myself and you on all these different points mentioned in these last two videos. Like, for example, why doesn't she bring food anymore with the tractor beam from the timelines? How does she feel on the ship? Why she doesn't go to the island, etc. Different updates on the status here, Yazhi's status right now. So thank you, guys. Thank you for sticking around. It's not going to be the end, by the way. That third video, the updates, that's going to be just the updates. But then the fourth video, which could be even both two, I'm not sure, fourth or fifth, it's actually going to be some anecdotes, the actual anecdotes that I was going to prepare for the anecdotes series that I was doing a while back. So the next video, updates, and the next video after that for the series, some anecdotes. Thank you again. See you around. Sending love to Yazhi and to everybody else on Earth and off Earth. All positive, benevolent beings out there. Thank you again. Cheers.
Powerful Sophia, tender loving Sia, so mysterious and full of life. She fights alone.